Hey guys, what's going on? College life parties, roomies, shared dorms. Anything can happen. We start the movie with a girl named Sarah arriving at her new college dorm. She was going to wait to meet her new roommate, but other girls arrive promising her a party with cute guys and beer, and well, priorities. She has priorities. While at the party, she meets one of the guys from the band, so mission accomplished. And on top of that, the guy helps her rescue her friend Tracy, who is very drunk, and since he's a nice guy, she does the logical thing. She immediately hooks up with him. Then she goes up to his room, where she meets her new roommate Rebecca, then to puke and then to sleep. Busy little night. The next day, she goes out to the bookstore with Rebecca to get to know each other better, then introduces her to the whole group. And all is well that night. She goes out partying with her friend Tracy. But when she gets lost, she calls Rebecca to rescue her. And as a reward for her hourly rescue, Rebecca asked her to spend the next day together. All good, all normal. All right, they go to the museum, take pictures, complain about Sarah's stalker ex-boyfriend. And as Sarah mentioned that Devil Wears Prada is her favorite movie, Rebecca gets her a poster of the movie. What a good friend she is. I should get me a poster too. But that's beside the point. After pasting the poster, she starts going through Sarah's stuff. And that's not cool, dude. Get a grip. And just as she was finishing doing that, Sarah comes back to the room with a kitten she found, and just like that, they have adopted a kitten together, the best roommate ever, and everything was going great. Little smile here, cute kitty there, until Sarah sees that Rebecca has been going through her things and put on her dead sister's necklace. But then they have a heart-to-heart talk, and all is well. On the other hand, Sarah has gotten herself a job at a coffee shop, and while she was working, Stephen, the boy band guy, shows up and invites her to a party. More later that day, Sarah meets Tracy to go to the fraternity party with the boys, and in the meantime, Rebecca was passing by and sees them with a wicked face. Because she has a plan, she has gotten Sarah tags to go to a showcase of her favorite artist that night. In your face, Tracy. What Sarah can't resist, because of course he's her favorite painter, so she cancels on Tracy and Stephen and goes out with Rebecca. Wonderful move. Later that night, there was Tracy, who did go to the party and was pretty drunk. She goes to get some water, where he happens to find a very creepy Rebecca in the kitchen. The next day, she goes to tell Sarah, "Look, Sarah, your roommate is really crappy." But Sarah pays no attention and leaves for class. Who does pay attention to her is Rebecca, who was there watching everything from a distance. But while Sarah, who doesn't know anything goes on with her day, she has a coffee with Rebecca, then meets her friend Irene, and later goes out with Stephen. All good. The one who is not doing well is Tracy. She's taking a quiet bath in the university bathrooms when the door opens and the lights go out, and just at that moment she is attacked by Rebecca, who knocks her to the floor, chokes her with the curtain, and threatens her. She tells her to stay away from Sarah or she will die, and then Rebecca goes quietly to play with her kitten and to wait for Sarah in their room. But Sarah didn't arrive because she was already on her date with Stephen. Finally, she arrives with him, and Rebecca gets really mad. She makes a fuss at her for rorting around with the boy in the band, and then she leaves in a huff to go to her room. Meanwhile, these two stand there, looking like what the hell just happened. Foreign anyway. The next morning, Rebecca apologizes, tells her she was worried about her, that she's sorry, and they finally make up. Later that day, she meets Stephen, who tells her, "Look, I think your roommate likes you." But she tells him no, that Rebecca is just a good friend. He gives her a kiss and leaves. All this while Rebecca watched them from a distance. And later that night, while Stephen was quietly studying in the library, Rebecca harasses him, but she doesn't do anything to him. Oh, what a scare. The next morning, Sarah was trying to talk to Tracy, who was so scared that she even changed bedrooms. Just then, Rebecca shows up. Tracy runs away with her best "please don't kill me" face, but Rebecca doesn't even remember her anymore. Not now. Her problem is with Stephen, with whom romance is going very well. And while Rebecca was furious that Sarah was coming back, Jason, Sarah's stalker ex-boyfriend, calls. She then answers and poses as Sarah. This is going to be a problem, but at the moment nothing happens without Sarah goes to see her friend Irene to see if she can adopt the kitten, because they can't keep it in the college dorms. She says no, but gives her lots of designer clothes, and then invites her to live with her in her house, that they will have a great time, and she will be able to keep the kitten. And what if she goes from being a friend Oh, being her sugar mommy, well, God willing, that night, Sarah returns and gives Rebecca the good news. She tells her that she will move in with Irene to keep the kitten and Rebecca can have the whole room to herself. But don't worry, they're still friends. Then Rebecca decides that if the kitten is a problem, she'll get it out of the way. When Sarah returns home, she finds Rebecca crying because the kitten ran away. Then Sarah comforts her. They say it was an accident and nothing happened. Later that day, Sarah's design teacher invites her to Paris Fashion Week. A great opportunity. There's just one little detail: he expects her to pay for the opportunity in his bed. She naturally says no and leaves in a huff, only to be consoled by her best friend. But her best friend has another plan. She's going to avenge her, so she goes to the professor's office and seduces him, and as soon as he kisses her, she starts screaming for her to let go. She records everything. Then she sends it to the university, and he gets fired. Later that day, the girls meet for lunch. Sarah has found out that her teacher was fired, but she thinks it was karma. Sarah still doesn't know anything. That night, she goes to see Stephen with his band. Things are going great with him. Meanwhile, Rebecca was in her room beating herself up and hurting herself. Crazy lady. When Sarah arrives, she sees her hurt, and Rebecca tells her that she went out to look for the kitten and a guy attacked her in an alley. So Sarah, who is a very good friend, cancels on her boyfriend and decides to go with Rebecca on vacation to take care of her. They arrive at Rebecca's house, who turns out to be very rich. Her family is rich music, and her parents are very worried about her. So they ask Sarah how she's doing, if she's doing well taking her medication, and Sarah has no idea what they're talking about. But just at that moment, Rebecca arrives, so Sarah can't ask any more questions. The girls go out for a walk around town and meet some girls who look at Rebecca funny and finally tell her that they were never friends. Ouch. Then the vacation is over. They go back to campus and everything is fine, sort of, because Sarah is already getting suspicious. She goes through Rebecca's things and sees that she hasn't even uncovered her medication, and she looks up what those pills are for and sees that her friend has many problems. So she decides to move in with Irene. But late, dear Sarah, late, because Rebecca is already getting rid of Irene. She follows him and ends up flirting with her in the bathroom of a nightclub. And finally they decide to go to Irene's house. What are we waiting for? And the next day, with no news of Irene anywhere. And that's not all. Rebecca ties Sarah's dead sister's name all over her heart. Now Sarah is really scared, so she leaves the room, packs her things, and runs out of there. And since she can't find Irene, she leaves with Stephen in the meantime, and she's really scared at the university. And on top of that, her ex-boyfriend, he has started stalking her again. He goes to her dorm room and leaves her a note, but Sarah isn't there. There's Rebecca, who is crazier than ever. She takes the note, dyes her hair like Sarah, and goes to see Jason. And when the guy was getting excited, she tells him that Sarah doesn't love him and kills him. Meanwhile, Sarah decides to go to look for Irene again, and just finds her tied up in bed. What luck, I thought she was dead. Well, they're not so lucky, because at the same time, Rebecca appears pointing a gun at her, and she's very upset, because she's like an avenging angel taking care of her and loving her. And what does Sarah do? She leaves. She leaves her. Then Sarah apologizes and tells her she'll be back, which makes Rebecca very happy. But she tells her, hang on, I'll kill Irene and we'll go. But since Sarah can't let her do anything to Irene, they end up fighting, and Sarah manages to keep her out of the room. Not for long though, as Rebecca was trying to get in. Irene tells her to escape, and that's what Sarah was going to do. She was on her way to the fire escape, just as Rebecca manages to get in. She was going to kill Irene, but just then Stephen arrives and saves her. Unfortunately, in the hustle and bustle, Sarah slips and is left hanging out the window. Then Stephen knocks Rebecca out and goes to rescue her, but Rebecca appears, hits him from behind, and knocks him down. Luckily, Rebecca says, relax Sarah, I'll save you, and pulls her up. Sarah immediately takes the gun and tries to shoot Rebecca, but here are no bullets left. The girls start fighting again, and Sarah wins, and nothing, as she killed her roommate. She is left alone in the room. And that's it. If you like the video, don't forget to subscribe. See you. Bye. Foreign.